Sean, I had the privilege of writing your story into the book, and what an amazing story. I mean, I wasn't aware that you grew up without a father, but you've gone on to be an absolutely outstanding dad. I've spoken to your wife, Juanita, and she says that you've been a model dad. Tell us, and as a message also for Father's Day.
Listen, just to see my picture on the book, and obviously the way I grew up without a father, everybody would think that you should have gone the other way. But for me, sport was an outlet from gangsterism and drugs, and my family supported me all along. My grandparents, my uncles, my aunts, and the uncles and grandfathers showed me how to be a father, and that's why when I had my first child, it took me a while to actually recognize and responsible to be a father. But the most important thing for me was to be present in their lives, to have time available to watch their games, whichever sport. Watching a cricket game for 4 hours and no result, but when you see your son coming off the pitch and he has got a smile on his face because you're there, those are the small things. And I always say, you never realize the impact of a moment until it becomes a memory. Because now all three of my sons are big grown men, and to be the best father I could be was my priority, besides being the best husband. So this book gives a lot of advice, obviously 3 different stories, myself, CJ and Chad, but our parents raised us in a way to be responsible and to pass on to the next generation.
I mean, you mentioned Chad, and obviously BARTLETT had a massive influence in Chad's life, and Bert's shared some fantastic advice there. Now for yourself, I mean, you mentioned something about presence and present.
Yeah.
Let's explain that.
Yeah, a lot of times because I didn't have things in my life growing up, you tend to just want to buy things for your kids.
Presents.
Yeah, and my wife said, actually, your time is much more valuable than actually spending money. So instead of buying presents, be present in their life.
As we say in Afrikaans, your teenwoordigheid.
Yeah, so for me that was the most important thing, and I think the kids appreciated while I was around. Obviously, being a sports star as well, or sportsman, you get to travel a lot. So I always made time for them whenever I was at home.
Okay, so that's valuable advice. And currently South Africa, we're sitting in a situation where there's fatherlessness is quite a big thing. But what's your advice? I mean, the Bible says that God is a father to the fatherless. And one of the things you mentioned here, there's no excuses. You grew up in the Cape Flats, an area that's riddled with a lot of stuff that's not good, but you still rose to the top. And even the double whammy, not having your father around. And you mentioned no excuses. And there's something powerful that you say in the book. To every young person out there, your circumstances define you. Your circumstances do not define you. Your choices do. How important was that for you?
That was very important. From a young age, I knew where I wanted to go. So the environment I grew up in didn't change my mindset. It was something that I decided on as an individual. And I think, like you said, the support of my family and having the faith foundation gave me the pathway I wanted to go. And I always say there's a big difference between what you want and what you need. And that personal, obviously, responsibility and discipline is what got me to the top.
You made a very good, powerful quote as well when you spoke about talent and hard work.
Yeah. It's always going to be the difference, and that whole discussion of Messi and Ronaldo, that's why I like Ronaldo, because, he has to work harder. Messi's a natural talented player. It comes a little bit easier to him, where Ronaldo, you can see he had to work on a lot of things in order to be the best player, and obviously he played for Man United as well.
Yes, we had to rubbish. Interesting, like my son Jethro was reading that part, and he said that this is what Uncle Sean mentioned in the book, and he learned that quote because that was a chapter you worked on yesterday, work ethic.
Yeah.
And you shared something very powerful. You said that talent beats hard work when hard work does not work hard enough.
Yeah.
And that's something that you shared with your players as a coach.
Always, I always say to my players, you can be how talented, but never let anyone question your work ethic. When you come off the field, win or lose, you've given your best.
And that's what you're saying to the fathers out there, the work ethic of being present.
Listen, we all have responsibilities. We all want to provide for our families. Sometimes it takes you away from home and, a lot of hours away as well. So when you're with your family, that for you is the priority.
Nie geskenke nie, maar teenwoordigheid. Not your presence, but your presence.
Yeah.
This as a parting message to the fathers of South Africa on Father's Day, or for Father's Day.
Yeah, I think the important thing is we as fathers don't speak a lot about anything, but I think it's important that we also teach our kids, to be outspoken in the sense where if anything goes wrong, make sure they speak to someone. Be the father, be the first person that they must come to, I would say. If there's a problem, then you must be the first person and not outside your household, so you can keep everything responsible and accountable for.
Fantastic. Now, to you guys out there, Shaun has personally signed these books here. There's 4 or 5 books there. So if you're interested in getting a signed copy of the book, please send us a WhatsApp or send us an inbox, and we'll be able to get that to you. It's only 300 Rand, and we'll make a plan and get it out to you for Father's Day. God bless. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you.